Oyez, oyez, oyez. The Honorable, the Supreme Court of Texas. All persons having business before the Honorable, the Supreme Court of Texas, are admonished to draw near and give their attention, for the court is now sitting. God save the state of Texas and his honorable court.
Please remain standing for the invocation by the Reverend Gregory Davidson, Presbyterian Church of America, retired. The posting of the colors by the Texas Department of Public Safety, Region 7 Honor Guard. The pledges to the United States and Texas flags, led by Justice Huddle and Greg's daughters, Isabel Grace and Emma Louise, and the singing of the national anthem by Sergeant Jeremy Amos, Department of Public Service. Reverend Davidson.
Would you please join me in prayer? Dear God, our Father Almighty, how great and glorious is your name. You are the maker and the creator of all things, the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega. You are the completeness that we seek in our lives. Lord, we humbly ask you for your presence at this meeting this afternoon. May your Spirit guide us and lead us in all that we do and all that we say here. We join together in joyous expectation of all the possibilities that are ahead for Justice Huddle and her family. Lord, and in this season of expectation and hope, we place our trust in you. We ask that you be with Justice Huddle and all of her family gathered here today for this momentous event. We expect great things, and we expect you to guide her every step along the way. So Lord, this afternoon, it is your presence that we pray for. It is your wisdom we desire, and it is your glory we want to see. I ask this prayer in your Son's most precious name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
By the dawn's early
Please be seated. Welcome to this ceremonial session of the Supreme Court of Texas. Because this is a ceremonial session, you are free to take photographs and to applaud, and if you must, to tweet. Thanks to all of you for joining us on this happy occasion to celebrate Justice Paul Green's and Justice Eva Guzman's service to the people of Texas, and for the formal administration of the oath of office to Justice Rebeca Huddle. The members of the court are listed on the back of your program in order of seniority, and they are seated in that order before you, alternating outward from the center. On my right is the Senior Justice, Deborah Larriman of Fort Worth. On my left is Justice Jeff Boyd, who practiced law in Austin. On Justice Larriman's right is Justice John Devine, who practiced law in Houston. On Justice Boyd's left is Justice Jimmy Blacklock of Austin. On Justice Devine's right is Justice Brett Busby of Houston. On Justice Blacklock's left is Justice Jane Bland of Houston. And on Justice Bland's left is Justice Evan Young of Austin. I now ask the court's Senior Justice, Justice Larriman, to introduce the other members of the judiciary and a few special guests who are here. Justice Larriman.
Thank you so much, Chief. And I want to thank all of you so very much for honoring Justice Rebeca Huddle, one of the most conscientious, hardworking, intelligent, and truly nice persons that I know, with your presence here today. Thank you also for coming to honor the dedicated and tireless service of our former colleagues, Justice Paul Green and Justice Eva Guzman. Thank you all. It is indeed such a privilege to celebrate this significant event and to formally welcome Justice Huddle into our court family. And what a wonderful addition she makes. Of course, our court family extends to all members of our exceptional judiciary in Texas. The compelling nature of the public service you so selflessly and diligently provide as the cornerstones of the third branch of government can never be overstated. So it is my distinct honor to acknowledge these esteemed dignitaries today. I would like to start with Justice Huddle's guests, her wonderful husband, Greg Huddle, her children that you just had the joy of seeing, Isabel Grace and Emma Louise, the Honorable Sherry Raddick, who is Chief Justice of the First Court of Appeals. Please stand as I acknowledge you. Everyone wants to know who you are. The Honorable Tom Phillips, who is our former Chief Justice. And Reverend Gregory Davidson. And we have Justice Paul Green's guest, his lovely wife, Courtney Green. His son, Ethan Green, the Honorable Wallace Jefferson, our former Chief Justice. Rachel Eckery, who was a staff attorney for us for many years. W. Paul Green, Claire Green, John Green, Margaret Green, Jack Green, David Green, Catherine Green. As you can tell, Justice Green has a very large and loving family. And now I would like to introduce Justice Eva Guzman, my dear friend's guest. First, her wonderful husband, Tony Guzman, her sister, Michelle Fraga, Dick Trabulsi, Mary Tips, Lee Parsley, Julie Buchanan, who was her staff attorney for many years and now serves as staff attorney for our Justice John Devine, and the Honorable David Medina, who's a former justice on the Supreme Court of Texas. Please stand. So we have several United States judges. First of all, I would like to introduce Chief Judge Priscilla Owen. And we have former SCOTEX members here. We have Raul Gonzalez. We have Justice Craig Enoch. We have Justice Dale Wainwright. And we have Justice Scott Brister. Let's see. So from the Third Court of Appeals, we have Justice Thomas Baker. We have Justice Edward Smith. From the Fifth Court of Appeals, we have Justice Bill Peterson and Justice Jeff Alley. And from the 14th, as I previously recognized, Chief Justice Christopher. We have a district or county judge, Judge Bob Schaefer. We also have from our SCAC, a Supreme Court Advisory Committee, we have Judge Emily Miskell from Collin County, Maria Salas Mendoza from El Paso, and former Judge Levi Benton from Houston. From the Board of Law Examiners, we have Nada Wang, Allison Drish, and Kai Stroon, and Michael Sullivan. Please stand. And of course, from the Supreme Court, we have our wonderful staff, Blake Hawthorne, Nina Sue, Andrew Weber, and John Adams. Thank you for being here. So please excuse me if you were not acknowledged. It certainly was not intentional. So if any of you are sitting next to someone whom we inadvertently failed to recognize, would you please let me know by shouting out their name? Is there anyone that we left out? Oh, I'm so sorry. And this is Justice Guzman's, one of her sisters of, I believe, six sisters. Thank you so much for being here. And, oh, who? Oh, I'm so sorry, Justice McClure of the Court of Criminal Appeals. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, excuse me, and Justice Kevin Jewell from the 14th Court of Appeals. Anyone else? Well, I'm getting to that. I also would like to recognize the spouses of those sitting on this bench today. And I'll start with Justice Boyd's lovely wife, Jackie. Justice Devine's lovely wife, Genuvia. Justice Blacklock's lovely wife, Jessica. Unfortunately, Justice Busby's wife could not be here today because of child-related duties. Justice Bland's lovely husband, Doug. Justice Huddle's lovely husband, Greg. Justice Young's lovely wife, Toby. And my lovely husband, Greg. Thank you all for being here to celebrate this wonderful person and these two lovely people. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Justice Lehrman. We're pleased that so many of our colleagues on the state and federal bench have joined us, and we're especially grateful to the Speaker of the House, Dade Phelan, and to Chairman Will Metcalf and the members of the House Administration Committee for allowing us the use of this beautiful historic chamber festively decorated for the season. Inside the court, we refer to the investiture of new members as they're swearing in, and the tribute paid to members leaving us as they're swearing out. We have two former members to swear out today, Justice Paul Green and Justice Eva Guzman. It is my privilege to introduce Wallace Jefferson to swear out Justice Green. Chief Justice Jefferson served the court as a justice from 2001 to 2004, and then the Chief Justice for 10 years until 2013. Chief Justice Jefferson.
Governor Abbott, members of the legislature, judges and justices, friends and family of our honorees today, and may it please the court. Paul Green earned his business degree from the University of Texas, his law degree from St. Mary's University School of Law. He served as a justice 10 years on the San Antonio Court of Appeals and almost 16 years on the Supreme Court of Texas. Few lawyers have made such lasting contributions to the rule of law as Justice Green. He was president of the San Antonio Bar Association, a former director of the Texas Bar Association, and a member of the House of Delegates of the American Bar Association. Now, as Texas Law Book has observed, Justice Green's most cited opinion is Italian Cowboy Partners versus Prudential, which is a seminal case holding that victims of commercial fraud can seek relief in a Texas court. In 2019, he clarified the law of attorney's fees in a comprehensive opinion that surveys cases in Texas and throughout the country. Ruhrmost Venture versus UTSW Healthcare. I predict it will soon eclipse Italian Cowboy citation numbers because lawyers, for reasons that are not that difficult to grasp, are inherently interested in this topic. Paul began his tenure on the court on January 1st, 2005. The court immediately asked him to undertake several important tasks for the court and for the state, at which he excelled. For example, we were keenly interested in making the court more transparent so that the public would have a window into the critical disputes at the highest level and see, as much as feasible, how the court grappled with these monumental issues. And what is visible to the public turns out to be an impressive body of work, governed by precedents, legislative policy, truth, and civility, not exactly the hallmarks of all government life today. Why shouldn't we give the world a front seat? And so we began thinking about cameras in the courtroom. But the problem was we were unable to secure funding from the legislative branch. Justice Green said, "Let me get to work." He approached the Dean of St. Mary's School of Law with a proposition. Would the school underwrite that objective? The court has broadcast arguments live since March of 2007, thanks to Paul's vision and creativity. St. Mary's indeed hosted those arguments for years, and it has subsequently been produced with the generous help of the State Bar of Texas. The court also asked Paul to oversee what we call bricks and sticks. He was our general contractor for the entire duration of his service to the court. And now, our Supreme Court building, which was dedicated in 1957, has undergone an internal transformation. The bricks and sticks of 1957 were broken and shredded by the time Paul arrived in 2005. Again, he got to work. The conference room was stained and tattered, but Paul working with a very limited budget, designed a new one that incorporates themes from the historic courtroom right here in the Texas Capitol. He helped make the robing room adjacent to the court hospitable not only for the justices on argument days, but for dignitaries and other tribunals that occasionally occupy that space. And the courtroom itself, the lighting, the carpet, the bench, all have benefited from Justice Green's thoughtfulness. And this is perhaps the right metaphor for Paul's service. He left the place, the law, the building, the court's public image in much better shape than he found it. Paul's more personal impact on the court's culture also fits that metaphor. Paul was and is beloved by his colleagues, by his loyal staff and law clerks, by everyone he touched during his nearly 16 years on the Supreme Court, 10 years on the Court of Appeals, and his many years following his father and grandfather as a Bexar County lawyer. And I was able to see the relationships he nurtured here in Austin. You see, the court is a family. It has good and rough times. It faces triumphs and personal loss. The court is buffeted by politics and scrutinized by all. It can be stressful. But Paul was a calm and steady presence, always fiercely dedicated to the work. Paul was also unfailingly kind and gentle. I could count on him to be on the bench for every argument, at the table for every conference, ready and prepared with drafts of his own opinions and helpful comments on others, and very attuned to how important the cases were to the litigants and to the lawyers. And as much as he approached this work with grave solemnity, he never took himself seriously. Paul Green, in his attitude on life and his view of the world, is youthful. He laughs with great ease. And known for occasional lighthearted pranks, he spreads an infectious ambiance all around. And I cannot see their faces, but I have a feeling you can see smiles and nods from the justices behind me and from the court family all around. Paul, thank you for your decades of service to the court, to the people of Texas, and to the rule of law. And thank you for being our friend.
Thank you very much, Governor, and distinguished guests, former colleagues. They went down. I was going to talk about some of the people and introduce them, but I guess I don't need to do that now. But Wallace, thank you for the remarks that you made. You know, when in 2005, when I was invested in the court, they asked you so somebody can present you to the court. And so Wallace mentioned my dad and my grandfather, both lawyers and very successful. And I got the privilege of working with my dad for 17 years and learned about the court and who the personalities were, got to know some of the judges. And so the person that introduced me to the court had to be, the obvious choice was my father. And he did a wonderful job. And he's passed on now, but this occasion came up about somebody to introduce me or to talk about me in the court. The other person was obvious as well, Chief Justice Jefferson, who is my dear friend from San Antonio. Got to spend lots of fun times on the court together, as he talked about. And also a former colleague, but also a new colleague. I'm working with him again in retirement, so-called retirement, with the law firm of Alexander DuBose and Jefferson, and I've enjoyed that very much too. So he was an obvious choice. I began to worry he was kidding me about his chance to get at me in this venue. It turned out not to be a bad choice anyway, so that's good. This will be brief because really this event is about my successor, Justice Huddle. So we want to get on with that. But speaking of Justice Huddle, and something that the Chief mentioned a moment ago, I was taught in Boy Scouts to always leave something better than when you arrived. And so now that I've gone, it got better. So, so she's going to do great. There's some other people here today that I want to recognize or acknowledge. Some law clerks, former law clerks that are here. Linda Smith, somewhere right there. She was my longtime executive assistant. Jenny Hodgkins, I don't know, I haven't seen her, I don't know whether she's here or not. She's a longtime staff attorney, just did wonderful work. She's now the executive director of the Board of Disciplinary Appeals. So my guess is that she's working today. Obviously, my former colleagues, many of them are here. I worked with 17 other justices when I was on the court, which was just a wonderful time. And of course, I'm glad to see them here today too. I just want to say that my time serving on this extraordinary court was the greatest honor and privilege that any lawyer could ever imagine. I remember as a child attending many judicial campaign events with my dad. And I was able to meet quite a number of judges, some of whose names became familiar to me as family friends, including names like Greenhill, Pope, and Barrow. Even as a youngster, I was impressed by the fact that Dad always had such great respect for these judges. What was it about them, I wondered, and how do you get to be one? Well, obviously I found out. The odds are not good. There are now well over 100,000 lawyers in this state, and only 9 get to sit on this court. But the planets have to line up, and they did for me. And most importantly, it takes a lot of help from a lot of people to get here. I could and should spend a lot of time recognizing the great many people who have helped me. There's one person, though, who is not here today, who stands out in my mind, someone who saw something in me and resolved to help put me on the court. And I'll forever be grateful for that person and that help. Thank you, Governor Rick Perry, for that. I have been profoundly blessed, and I thank the Lord for that. I think we did some good during my tenure, and I believe we left a mark that will wear well. My staff was just the best, and I'm very proud of what we accomplished and all the hard work in getting it right. This ceremony serves as a perfect bookend to my judicial career. I thank the court for its indulgence in permitting me to say thanks for the memories. Congratulations, Justice Huddle. You are in for a very unique and special experience as a member of the court. Savor your time with it. God bless this honorable court. God bless Texas. God bless this great nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Justice Green. It's now my privilege to introduce Justice Busby to swear out Justice Eva Guzman. Justice Busby.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court, Governor Abbott, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor and a privilege for me to offer some remarks on behalf of the court, celebrating the judicial service of our dear friend and colleague, and a treasured mentor to me personally, Justice Eva Martinez Guzman. Trailblazer, protector of our constitutions and the rule of law, hard worker, eloquent writer, principled legal scholar, deeply experienced in the courtroom, mentor and inspiration to lawyers and students alike, woman of faith, devoted wife, mother, sister, and friend, and servant leader, striving to improve the delivery of justice for all Texans, especially the poorest and most vulnerable among us. Those are just a few of the qualities that describe Justice Eva Guzman. She joined this court in 2009 when Governor Rick Perry appointed her to succeed Justice Scott Brister, and resigned her seat in June of this year, serving almost 12 years and writing nearly 90 majority opinions for the court. All told, she served the people of Texas as a judge for 22 years, including as a trial judge in Harris County, where she ruled on thousands of cases, and for almost a decade on the Houston-based 14th Court of Appeals, where she wrote hundreds more opinions. She became known throughout the legal profession as well-prepared, an active questioner at oral argument, and a committed craftsman who worked tirelessly to ensure that her opinions adhered to the law as written, provided clear explanations of complex legal issues that all Texans could understand, and gave useful guidance to the bench and bar. No case was too big or too small to warrant her full energy and attention. She was also a valued colleague in discussions of draft opinions, offering and accepting constructive comments to make our work more clear, correct, and compelling. It's no surprise then that she consistently received high marks in judicial evaluation polls and was honored as Judge of the Year by numerous organizations. The voters of Texas took notice as well, making her the first Hispanic woman elected to statewide office in 2010 and re-electing her in 2016 with what was at that time the highest vote total for any office in Texas election history. Justice Guzman is learned in the law. She somehow found time among her many other legal obligations to earn her LLM in judicial studies from Duke Law School, where she learned from some of our nation's finest legal minds, included noted constitutionalists Justice Antonin Scalia and Justice Samuel Alito. She wrote her thesis about dissenting behavior on state high courts, gathering data from judges themselves to explain what makes an effective dissent. Now, she and I mostly agreed during our time serving together on this court, but I can tell you from personal experience that although Justice Guzman rarely needed to issue a dissent, her dissents were powerful and effective. The seeds of Justice Guzman's character, promise, and achievement were planted in Houston's East End, where she grew up in the middle of 7 children of hardworking immigrant parents who cherished their American citizenship and the opportunity for their family to prosper. Her father was a welder, and her mother took part-time cleaning jobs to support her family. They taught Eva that if you work hard, get an education, and have faith in God, you can do anything. And she stepped up, excelling in school while working evenings at a drapery factory to help ends meet and begin saving for college. Seeing her family and her neighbors navigate life's challenges without meaningful access to justice inspired her to pursue a life in the law. She put herself through the University of Houston and earned her law degree from South Texas College of Law. She met and married Houston police officer Tony Guzman, who shared her passion for serving and improving their community. Their accomplished daughter, Melanie, has followed her mother into the law, graduating from Duke Law School and completing a prestigious judicial clerkship before recently beginning her legal practice in Houston. Justice Guzman's leadership goes far beyond the courtroom, as the many prestigious leadership awards she's received attest. As chair of the Judicial Commission for Children, Youth, and Families, she worked with leaders across the state to improve outcomes of safety and permanency, and to foster the well-being of Texas' most vulnerable children and families. The Commission's work has been recognized on a national level for its positive impact on the child welfare system. She also served for many years as the court's liaison for access to justice, working to expand access to courts in civil matters for our veterans and low-income Texans. And she organized the inaugural Beyond the Bench Law, Justice, and Communities Summit, a first-of-its-kind assembly of judges, law enforcement officers, public servants, and national, state, and community leaders with a mission to strengthen the trust and confidence in our legal system. Justice Guzman has also been a dedicated mentor to so many, myself included. It's said that thousands of candles can be lit from a single candle, and the life of that candle will not be shortened. Justice Guzman lives that saying every day, looking for ways to pay it forward and make a place at the table for others, even if it means sharing her own seat, as she did with me when I joined her as the court's deputy liaison for access to justice. As her loyal staff members, law clerks, and other mentees will tell you, She always wants the best for them and goes out of her way to help them achieve their dreams. Her mentees are many and stretch well beyond the legal sphere. She has long supported and served on the board of Career Spring, which helps first-generation college students with networking and career opportunities. At Justice Guzman's investiture, Governor Perry explained that he appointed her based on her record of unquestioned integrity, unshakable values, and unprecedented accomplishments as an intelligent and talented lawyer and jurist. Texas is a better place because she continued to build on that record as a justice of this court. I was a practicing lawyer in Houston at the time, and she asked me to be part of her investiture ceremony by playing my violin, which I was so honored to do. I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to serve with her on this court and to share my thoughts with you on the occasion of her swearing out. For her part, Justice Guzman promised at her investiture to build the confidence of the public in our legal system by faithfully applying the law, placing character above appearance and right action above all else. I think we can all agree that she delivered on those promises and more. Justice Guzman, thank you for your dedicated service and exemplary contributions to our state. Your former colleagues love you and we miss you. The people of Texas are in your debt. God go with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. May it please the court. Governor Abbott, Chief Justice Hecht, distinguished guests and friends, I'm honored to be here today and to share this special day with our not newest justice, but Justice Rebeca Huddle and Justice Paul Green, my dear friend and former colleague. Justice Busby, you mentioned this, but according to those who measure such things, you and I agreed quite a bit. And I see it continues because I am not dissenting to anything you just said. But in all seriousness, thank you for those beautiful and heartfelt words. I'm truly honored to call you my friend, and I treasure our time on the court together. T.S. Eliot famously said, "To make an end is to make a beginning." Though my time on the Texas Supreme Court and in the Texas judiciary may have come to an end, it's also the beginning of a wonderful new season. In this new season, I'm grateful for the chance to draw from yesterday as I move toward tomorrow. I thank each of you for the role you've played in those yesterdays. To my family, words are inadequate to express how grateful I am for the support you've given me as I've pursued my dreams and served our state. My husband, Tony, who you heard is a retired police officer, our daughter, Melanie, who is the light of our life, my sisters, Maria and Michelle, our family is my greatest joy and blessing. And a very special thank you to my law school friend, former colleague on the Texas Supreme Court, and now my law partner at the Chamberlain Herdlicka Law Firm, Justice David Medina. Thank you for over 30 years of friendship and support for me and my family. Thank you, Justice. As you heard, my story began in Houston's East End, so I grew up in a family of 9, and I think that equipped me well for a career in the law. When I came to the 9-member court, it's fair to say I brought a lifetime of experience in group dynamics. But in my 2 terms on the court, the faces of the 9 changed from time to time. But our commitment to the process and to the important work before us remained constant. I'm gratified by what we accomplished and grateful for the support I received along the way. I'm grateful for the appointments that I received from then Governor George W. Bush to the 309th District Court, and from Governor Rick Perry and very grateful to Governor Rick Perry for furthering my judicial career. First with an appointment in 2001 to the 14th Court of Appeals, and then in 2009 to the Texas Supreme Court. And I'm grateful to the people of Texas for choosing me to serve on each of these judicial benches. Each new opportunity to serve carried extraordinary responsibility. To whom much is given, much is required. These familiar words have guided me as a public servant and enriched my life. Judges hold office as stewards of the law for a season. A big part of the job is being a faithful keeper, so that at the end of that season, the judge may pass on a system of justice that is as strong and as vibrant as the one our forefathers envisioned. And speaking of the end of a season, though the day to formally celebrate Governor Abbott's appointee to fill the seat I vacated is yet to come, I take this opportunity to congratulate Justice Evan Young, a brilliant legal scholar who will serve Texans in an exemplary fashion. And he's in good company. The Supreme Court of Texas is rich with dedicated public servants who are passionate about the rule of law. These hardworking, smart, and caring jurists were not just my colleagues, and they are more than my friends. They are my family. There's another quiet force that makes the work of the people possible. They are the unsung heroes of our courts, the hardworking staff attorneys and court professionals who make it possible for judges to get the court's work done. I want to thank the amazing staff I've worked with at the court, especially my senior staff lawyers, Shelby O'Brien, the Honorable Brantley Starr, who served the people of Texas with distinction and continues to do so as a federal judge. The amazing Julie Buchanan, who was my right, and sometimes she wanted to be my left hand, but I always said, no, Julie, for more than half my tenure on the court. And of course, Blake Hawthorne and Nadine Snyder, thank you for your commitment to excellence in the people of Texas. Lastly, and most importantly, I thank God for his faithful provision throughout my judicial journey. In establishing the state of Texas, our forefathers penned the words, humbly invoking the blessing of Almighty God in the preamble of the Texas Constitution. So it seems only fitting to close my remarks by invoking God's blessings on the continuing endeavors of this court and on the new justice we celebrate today, Justice Rebeca Huddle. I only worked with you for a short period of time, but you truly are amazing and represent the very best in our judiciary. May God bless each of you, and may God bless Texas. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Guzman. Now we come to the swearing in part of our ceremony. Justice Huddle will be presented by Chief Justice Sherry Raddick and by Tom Phillips. Chief Justice Raddick was elected to the District Court in 1998 and has served as Chief Justice of the First Court of Appeals for 20 years, since 2002. During the years, Justice Huddle served as a justice on that court. And Chief Justice Phillips served as Chief Justice of our court for 17 years, from 1988 to 2004. Chief Justice Raddick.
If it pleases the court, Chief Hathan and all your special associates, Governor Abbott, nice to see you. It is an honor to come before the Supreme Court of Texas to tell you the personal side of Justice Huddle, our newest justice. This is a special day for all of us, for her and for me to speak for her. I want to try to give you just two takeaways. The root of who Justice Huddle is begins with another, Esther Gonzalez. The book of Romans says, "We know that in all things God works for the good for those who love him." And that was true of Esther Gonzalez. She was a young woman who had immigrated from Mexico and was living with her family in El Paso. When her youngest child was 5, her husband died. She was left in catastrophic circumstances, a widow with 5 children. She had not even a high school education, but she trusted that God would give her strength and help her to provide for her family. She felt fortunate to be in this country. She found a low-paying job as a garment worker in a factory, and she worked there for 2 decades without one complaint. But she told her children, "There is but one path out of this life of poverty. Only in America can one rise if they do just this one thing. Go to school, do right, and work hard." That's really not just one thing, is it? Anyway, the youngest child was Justice Rebeca Huddle. Loving her mom as she did, she followed that advice to work hard and do right. Someone else is going to tell you how smart she is. This is her personal side. At least for Esther Gonzalez, in loving God, he worked good things for a daughter that she loved very much. Takeaway number 2, first an admission on my part. So when I was in high school, assigned to teachers that I didn't particularly like, I kind of, for fun, sort of imagined that they poofed off the face of the earth at the end of the day and poofed on the face of the earth back in time to just give trouble to the class. So too, perhaps, not maybe in that same way, some lawyers may think that some judges also poof off and on the face of the earth when they render a decision. Just so you know, Justice Huddle does not poof off the earth. She has a beautiful family that she loves deeply, 2 beautiful daughters, Isabel and Emma, and her beloved husband, Greg. They are the light of her life. So what does the public hope for in a judge? Some answers might be thoughtful, thorough, impartial, unbiased, fair. But what kind of judge offers more than that? And the answer is Rebeca Huddle. As you know, Justice Huddle served at the first court where I got to know her as a colleague, a great friend, and member of the secret muffin panel. It's so secret, that's all I can say about that. But it's an important qualification. Then she left and went to a prestigious law firm. When she was appointed here, she left behind all her advocacy skills. But she brought with her something important, an understanding of what it was like for lawyers to zealously represent their clients. person to this scholarly bench, and I give to this court a part of my heart in this sharing with you. I wish her many happy years on the best Supreme Court, the Texas Supreme Court. Thank you.
May it please this honorable court, Justice Huddle, Governor Abbott, and the other public officials, friends of the justice, friends all. The task normally assigned to an investiture speaker is to tell her future colleagues about the new justice. But as yet another follow-up from the pandemic, they already know Justice Huddle better than I do and better than some of you in the audience. She was sworn in over a year ago, and she's already written majority, concurring, and yes, dissenting opinions. She's assumed an active role administratively as deputy liaison to both the Children's Commission and the Judicial Commission on Mental Health. So my task here is merely to proclaim, hopefully briefly, what the court family and the guests here already know. That Rebeca Huddle was a talented and successful lawyer, that she's a thoughtful and impartial jurist, and that she is and always will be a fantastic human being. Chief Justice Raddick has already recounted movingly Justice Huddle's personal journey, an only in America story of talent and character recognized and rewarded. But like so many other facets of who she is today, Rebeca's interest in education and government were instilled by her hardworking mother, who inculcated in all her children a bedrock faith that America's political system made it the best country in the world, a place where through education and hard work, anyone could succeed. Rebeca, thus inspired, graduated from Stanford University with a degree in political science, but a strong concentration in education courses. And she spent a year teaching in California with the goal that one day she might be a principal. But her interest in people and in problem solving, and certainly not in money, made her think that a legal career might ultimately be her better choice. So she came back to Texas, graduated with honors from the University of Texas Law School, and garnered job offers from some of the largest firms in the state. She ultimately chose to work at the Houston office of Baker Botts, where she soon distinguished herself as one of the best and brightest of a group of very talented young lawyers. As an associate, she not only had an active trial docket, which actually got her in front of juries, but she also took leading roles in a number of larger legal teams. In that capacity, she helped try significant energy and antitrust disputes, was co-national defense counsel for litigation involving a major pharmaceutical company, and she successfully defended the former directors of a major oil company in one of the few class action suits for fiduciary breach that actually ever went to trial in America. Although she was elevated to the partnership at her firm in 2008, her desire to give back to society led her to seek judicial service, which led in 2011 to her appointment by Governor Perry as a justice of the First Court of Appeals. She served there with distinction for almost 6 years, seeking and winning re-election to a full term. But personal and practical considerations led her to resign from that bench and return to Baker Botts as a partner in 2017. Her second private practice stint was even more successful than her first. Perhaps reflecting the evolution of American dispute resolution, she devoted more time to arbitrations than before, and she won some very important cases that nobody can talk about, even her. In 2019, her leadership and interpersonal skills led the firm to name her as co-chair of the firm's complex litigation practice group and as partner in charge of the firm's flagship office in Houston. Now, partner in charge, or PIC, sounds like a glamorous job, but far from it. It's not implementing policy, or it's implementing policy, not making policy. And it requires tact, patience, empathy, decisiveness, enthusiasm, and common sense. Rebeca had all these qualities in abundance, and she was a magnificent pick. She noticed and appreciated the contributions of everyone in the office, from senior partners to mailroom staff. She resolved internal disputes. She soothed demanding clients, and she led meetings with humor and aplomb. She was an advocate for civic and professional engagement among everyone who was fortunate enough to be called to the bar. And she led by example as a board member of the Houston Area Women's Center and as a leader in a number of pro bono initiatives. I saw her personally in action in several stressful situations. And unlike some who were involved in those meetings, who we need not name, her cheerful disposition and even her infectious laugh never left her as she navigated through some very complex decisions. Such remarkable people skills will be quite useful in those secret court conferences. The interplay in deciding high court disputes, which Oliver Wendell Holmes called 9 scorpions in a bottle. Her selection has been a cause for celebration in many quarters, even if a cause for mourning among her former associates and partners. Closest to home at the court here, from time immemorial, the staff has tracked work assignments and votes by the judge's initials. So when Governor Abbott named J. Brett Busby, Jimmy Blacklock, and Jane Bland to join the court along with Jeff Boyd, it caused no little consternation. They were so happy to have RAH come join them at the court. El Pasoans can point with pride to a native descending to statewide elective office. The research of this man failed to show anyone in the state's 175-year history who was born in El Paso and later ascended to such high office in this state. And it's probably high time. Thank you, Governor Abbott. Children growing up across the state, especially in disadvantaged circumstances, can look to her as a true role model. She's modest as always about her many achievements, but Justice Huddle is realistic enough to recognize that her life story can challenge and inspire others to achieve what they dream. On the very day that Governor Abbott announced her appointment in El Paso at her alma mater, Stephen F. Austin High School, the newly minted justice didn't start calling for campaign contributions. No, she spent more than an hour with the students at that school. Afterwards, they enthused that she was intelligent, inspiring, and passionate. One student hailed her as an example that your background doesn't determine who you are and what you're capable of accomplishing in life. Finally, members of the bench and bar and the public at large can be proud that Governor Abbott has made yet another magnificent appointment to the state's highest court, on which he served. Her background makes her an ideal addition to this august body. Not only does she have proven judicial experience, but the fact that she's just been at the bar gives her a unique and up-to-date perspective on contemporary legal issues and the problems the court faces. She's actually wrestled with e-discovery, not just been to a seminar about it. She knows how clients feel about the difference between live hearings and those handled remotely. She knows the bar's true feelings about how courts handle appeals, whether as of right or discretionary. And yet, due to that judicial experience, she already has nearly 400 signed opinions to her credit, at least one of which has been reviewed by the U.S. Supreme Court. So Texans are fortunate indeed that she has chosen public service in this role, and that Governor Abbott has chosen her to this position in place 5, a rather prosaic term for what we used to call the Taylor succession, which has many distinguished jurists in addition to Justice Green, many who've gone on to other levels of public service, and one of whom is with us here today as a former Attorney General and current governor. Governor Abbott has chosen well as a successor, even maybe risking being known as the greatest judge ever to hold the Taylor succession. But we are grateful to him, and we wish for Justice Huddle a long and happy tenure on this great court.
It's now my distinct honor to introduce Governor Greg Abbott to administer the oath of office to Justice Huddle. Justice Abbott, as you've heard, served as a member of our court from 1996 to 2001. While he and I were colleagues, we disagreed in only a handful of cases, and since then I've regretted every one. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott.
Thank you, Justice Heck. May it please the court. One of the most important and consequential duties that a governor has is to make an appointment to the Texas Supreme Court. And let me explain to you why. The oath that I am about to administer has in the middle of it a phrase that is also found in the middle of the oath that I took. And that is that Justice Huddle will swear to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America. Now, a lot of people think about the Constitution, and they think about the Bill of Rights. They think about the three branches of government. People need to take a step back and reflect upon what the authors wrote in the very first sentence of the United States Constitution to understand why what we're doing today is so incredibly important. I will read to you that first sentence. It says, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." To make the point, it's clear that the brilliant authors of the United States Constitution, after they talked about forming a more perfect union, the first thing they wrote was necessary in order to achieve that more perfect union was to ensure justice. And then every following clause that was essential for the future of the United States of America involves the insurance of justice, such as ensuring domestic tranquility, providing for the common defense, promoting the general welfare, and securing the blessings of liberty. All of those things follow ensuring justice. Said otherwise, without justice, none of those things would be possible. The apex of ensuring justice in Texas is the Supreme Court. The vessels or the people who ensure that justice are the justices on the Supreme Court. What I know for a fact is that Rebeca Huddle not only has the life experience, but also has the legal mantle, the skill set of what is necessary to not only ensure that she will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, but through that effort, she will preserve, protect, and defend the future of the United States of America itself. So at this time, I would like to administer that oath of office. And this, if I recall, Justice Hecht, this is the Sam Houston Bible, is it not? It is. All right. If you would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Rebeca Huddle,
I, Rebeca Huddle,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Justice of the Supreme Court of Texas,
of Justice of the Supreme Court of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
of
of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Governor, and may it please the court. This has been an amazing day for me. This is a dream come true, and made all the more joyful because we're gathered here together, surrounded by the awe-inspiring beauty of this chamber and of the Christmas season. I've been looking forward to this day for months, and as it drew closer, and I started to feel butterflies about it, I talked to a dear friend about what the theme of my remarks might be. I said, there's so much I can touch on. I don't know what our guests will want to hear about. And my brilliant friend said, they want to hear about 5 minutes. Point taken, but I have many people whom I simply must thank. Thanks, first of all, to the governor for making this incredible ceremony today. Thanks to all of our distinguished guests, judges, public officials for being here. A special thank you for Governor Abbott for your kind remarks, for entrusting me with this responsibility and honor of serving as a justice on Texas's highest civil court. I've been on the job a bit over a year, or 400 days to be exact, and I'm so moved and honored to renew my oath today. As I promised 400 days ago, I give you my solemn pledge again today that I will do all I can to serve the people of Texas well. Thank you next to Chief Justice Phillips and Chief Justice Raddick. I'm privileged to have each of you share your thoughts with us today. You should know that I admired you my entire career. As a young lawyer, I never would have guessed that there would come a day when you would give a speech to celebrate me. You've been important mentors for me, and I feel privileged to call each of you my friend. And I think I speak for everyone here when I say that Texas is grateful for your many years of devoted service to the judiciary. Thank you to the justices on the court. It's a dream come true to work with you. I'm deeply grateful for the warm reception you've given me. even if you did make the junior justice go last at nearly everything. I've been here a year, but I knew after a much shorter period of time that each of you is a gifted scholar, a diligent, thoughtful leader, deeply committed to the rule of law. I'm so proud to call each of you my colleague. Thank you to Justices Green and Guzman, who we swore out a few minutes ago. We're grateful to each of you for your long and devoted service to the court and to Texas. Each of you is a role model to many, and we have big shoes to fill. Thank you to my chamber staff, Mike Choikey, Jake McIntosh, Philip Allen, and to my executive assistant, Linda Smith, the fixer, for all that you do to advance the work of the court and to make sure we have fun along the way. Thank you also to Nadine Schneider, Blake Hawthorne, Jessica Hamby, and all of the staff at the court who arranged every detail for today. Next, thank you to my dear family, and fair warning, it's a big family. 3 of my 4 siblings are here, and the 4th is watching online. Hi, Joe. Many of Greg's family are here. Many of our nieces and nephews on both sides, you're all so very dear to me. Thank you for coming all this way to spend this special occasion with us. Isabel and Emma, thank you for leading us in the pledges today. I'm immensely proud of you. I admire your work ethic and grit, your sense of humor, your big open hearts, your curiosity, and your sense of adventure. I love that you show respect and kindness to everyone you meet. You are wise beyond your years. I'm so lucky to be your mom. To my husband, Greg, thank you for your unfailing love. You're a constant cheerleader for me and for the girls. You're fun-loving and warm and generous, and I could not ask for a better husband, father for our girls, and leader for our family. I appreciate that my career choices have required sacrifices on your part, and I'm so grateful. You've never once hesitated to get behind me. I look forward to sharing many more happy years together. Sketching that list of people to thank today brought to mind a passage from Samuel. No one succeeds by strength alone. I know full well we celebrate my investiture here today thanks to unearned grace and the many people I've just named. They and many other friends, too many to name, have guided, inspired me, and supported me throughout my life. Without them, I could not have developed a vision of myself as a lawyer, let alone dreamed of becoming a justice on this court. Though many have helped me along my path to today, no one shaped my worldview, my love and admiration for our country, or my drive for public service in the way that my mother did. Yesterday was the 3rd anniversary of her passing. I still miss her every day, but the time we've spent without her has only deepened my admiration and gratitude for her. You've heard she was an immigrant from Mexico, widowed with 5 children when I was just 5 years old. But in that adversity, she found strength that could only have been God-given. She was determined to work hard to provide for us, and she did. She was determined to become a citizen, and she did. She was determined to open paths for me and my siblings, and she did. And she was unwavering in her belief that despite the challenges we faced as a family, we had great fortune because we were here in the United States and in this great state. She believed to her core that this was the best place in the world. She knew our ethos of liberty meant opportunities were open to all who were up for the challenge of pursuing them. Any bit of tenacity or grit I drew upon to get here today she modeled for me. My reverence for our country and for our ideals of a free society, she planted in me. And the desire to serve others, I learned from observing her in her daily life. Today, our joyful celebration is to honor her too. After this celebration is over, the 9 of us will get back to the business of the court, to reading briefs, to methodically studying and debating their merits, to drafting and revising the court's opinions. When I turn back to that work, I pledge that I will approach every case as if it were the most important one, because to the parties, I know that it is. I'll recognize that each case presents a choice to either strengthen or erode the rule of law and the principles that underlie it. You can trust that I will support the rule of law and our constitutions at every turn. I bring to each case my commitment to impartiality, my commitment to treat all parties and counsel equally, fairly, and with respect. I'll strive to maintain our stable and predictable body of law, and I will take all of my work with a healthy dose of judicial humility and respect for the separation of powers, the proper role of each branch of our government. This is what it means to me to swear an oath to faithfully execute my duties to preserve, protect, and defend our constitutions and laws. I'll abide by these principles every day as we decide every case for so long as I have the honor to serve Texas as a justice on this court. Thank you for being here today. God bless you, and may God bless the United States and the great state of Texas.
Thank you, Governor and Justice Huddle. This formal investiture of Justice Huddle has been delayed by the pandemic, as you've heard, and by legislative sessions precluding our use of this chamber. And so, having already worked with Justice Huddle, I know I speak for a unanimous court when I say we all look forward to serving with you for many years to come. I want to thank the court staff, especially the court's general counsel, Nina Hessu, and our executive assistants who have helped put all of this together and arrange today's investiture. Immediately following the ceremony, the State Bar of Texas is providing a reception in the Legislative Conference Center on level E2 in the underground Capitol extension connected to this building. Staff will be at the elevators outside to show you the way. Please join us. Thank you again, Governor Abbott, Justice Busby, Chief Justice Phillips, Chief Justice Jefferson, Chief Justice Raddick, Isabel, and Emma for your special contributions to these proceedings. I now call on the Reverend Gregory Davidson to offer a benediction. Please stand. Reverend Davidson.
I've been asked to give you a benediction. And Some of you have heard me say this before. Benediction is just a Latin phrase for good word. Bene being good, and diction being speak. So hopefully I will speak to you a good word. The good word that I'd like to speak to you is expectation. Expectation. Expectation is a word that does not sit well with our modern mind. As a matter of fact, our culture does not cultivate expectation. In fact, our culture works in the opposite. Our culture says, I want what I wanted, and I want it now. Expectation builds character. You see, there are times when we have to live in those in-between spaces, the interstitial spaces, the time between the now and the not yet. And that's what this season, really, the season of Advent is about. We celebrate the birth of a baby in a manger, the now, the coming kingdom, the not yet. And so we live in this tension. And it is living in this tension that animates our faith. And so go forth this week in expectation. Expect great things. Expect God to work in your life in ways that you never imagined. And now, go forth from this place, knowing that God will care for you in all that he does, and all that he has done, and all that he will do. And go in great expectation. Go in peace.
Thank you, Reverend Davidson. The investiture is concluded, and the clerk will adjourn the court.
Oh yay, oh yay, oh yay. The Honorable, the Supreme Court of Texas now stands adjourned.